Yo, welcome to another episode of Fun with Dumb. Today's guest is a really good friend of mine. He is an innovator. He is a inventor, a musician, producer, an app developer. I guess a lot of those kind of cross over, but his name is Mike Gao.
Yeah, it's your boy.
And he is a legend in my book and many others. How you doing, Mike?
Fantastic.
What would you say is your main thing?
I don't know. I guess my main thing is music. You know, everything is music or like visual or audio-visual oriented.
Yeah, you're a music producer. I've known you like 10 plus years. We started in the music scene together, playing shows, handing out flyers to shows. This is before there was MySpace or internet flyers. Like, there's not really much physical flyers anymore, huh?
Yeah, huh?
Like, you'll go to shows and maybe at the end of the shows they might pass you flyers, but not much.
Yeah, it's definitely not as much as before. You know, I remember seeing at Project Blowed.
Yeah.
And, you know, back in the day, the street teams were crazy. Like, you used to go to your car and your whole windshield would just be
bombarded with flyers, yeah. And I remember, like, when that transition, because I remember when sometimes I'd have 4 shows in 1 month, and I'd carry around 4 stacks of flyers in my backpack and pull up to spots and pass out flyers to shows.
Damn.
And I used to, like, pride myself in that, having multiple flyers, like I got these shows this month, and like I just felt good that I had 4 shows and I had 4 flyers to give you. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Yeah.
Save the Amazon, y'all. No more flyers.
Yeah, no more flyers, man. The Amazon is burning. But yeah, and then I remember like going to MySpace, and remember you had to like.
Oh yeah, your top 6. That was like the most important thing, you know.
And you had to code like the flyers when you put in the bulletins. Do you remember that?
Yeah, MySpace was cool because like nerds like me had an advantage. We could like finesse the HTML a little bit, you know, have some animations.
Yeah, you had to have HTML coding skills to pass around the flyers back then.
But that's also the demise of MySpace because it was too DIY, so it became hella spammy. Like people had hella spammy ass looking pages, you know.
Right. You know how I remember like first time I ever got shows or like looked for shows to get on was I would go on different artists' page on MySpace. Like, you know, there's artist MySpace pages. They have a section for shows. So I'd go on other artists' pages and see the show section, click on the shows, and see who's the promoter.
And
then I hit them up like, yo, you need an opener for that. And that's how I get on shows.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, very productive.
I used to do that type of shit too, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Since I've met you, like the producer scene has changed a lot, you know. Back then it was just like you kind of making beats for a lot of artists, but now it's like obviously the producer goes out doing shows and touring. Like I feel like you kind of were early on that though, doing shows and performances.
I mean, I was definitely doing that a lot, you know, with like Low End Theory, and like it became cool to be like a producer doing instrumental shit. But I feel like that's kind of it's kind of like stepped back from there in the last couple of years with SoundCloud's demise and kind of like the major labels coming in and shutting down SoundCloud kind of with the lawsuits, shutting down remixes. Because for a second, like producers, some of their remixes were doing better than these major label drops, you know, like a Chris Brown song would do like 10K on SoundCloud, but the remix of the song would like, you know, do like 100 in a day and just go crazy, you know.
That's crazy. So you're saying the producer scene has changed since that?
Since that, in the last couple of years, I feel like it's fallen off a little bit. Even where like I feel like, you know, there was a lot of interest in producers as the artist. Maybe 2-3 years ago, you know.
So what's happened? Are they going back to like producing for vocalists?
Yeah, that's definitely. I feel like most of my producer homies, they're trying to get on big songs and get on songs with like singing ass rappers. I feel like the producer thing was cool, and then now it's not as popping no more, maybe. And then now the singing ass rapper lane is like the cool one, or I don't know. Maybe that's how it was for the last 2-3 years.
Right.
And maybe people are tired of that. Maybe people want to hear producers again. And
it's kind of crazy how you could change, like a platform could just change its algorithm or format, and it could just ruin careers. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, Facebook, for instance, like they changed the video algorithm, so now like videos don't get many views or whatnot because the way you view them.
Oh, exactly.
So like content creators or even YouTube, right? like the whole YouTuber thing has changed, and you can't just get views. And all it was like a programmer being like, it's different the way you search videos.
Because they were like, fuck that. We need to. If you want to get views, you got to pay us. Basically,
is that what the main thing is?
Yeah,
it's all money.
Because essentially, if they weren't doing that, then if everything was chronological, or if everybody got the maximum engagement that they deserve,
right,
then people would just, instead of paying, which they already do, instead of paying for ads, they would pay influencers.
Yeah.
For influencer marketing. But then they have to be like, we have to weaken the influencers so that they come to the ads. You know?
Right. I know, like, your original background is in producing, but you have like a good knowledge of programming, and that's why, like, you know some of the shit. And like, you've also worked for mad companies and helping them like strategically figure out how to get more numbers, right?
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is always changing. I always try not to like, I never advertise these services, because I know that in the far future with machine learning, that over time, like, we're not going to be able to cheat the system as easily. And it's always like you find a little thing that might work for a short amount of time, and then they might change it. So I was always like, this is not a good career path. Like, you know what I mean? But because I've been coding since I was like 11, and I have this app I made, and I'm Chinese or something, people just come to me because they're racist, because they're like, oh, Mike's a nerdy. He probably knows how to do this.
Well, it's
shit.
also, I mean,
You
not
know?
just you being Chinese, but you being a very futuristic Chinese with futuristic visors and drip.
You know, it's just my brand.
It's your drip, bro.
It's just my brand, and then
it's your binary drip.
And well, what happens is, as I start helping them, I start getting more knowledge, and I start gaining more skills and more knowledge. But then these little things, they only work for a short amount of time.
Wait, why were you coding when you were 11?
I think my parents, they weren't buying me games at all, and they're like, if you want to play games, you got to make your own games. So then they would drop me off at the mall.
Serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. They would drop me off at the mall. And then they're like, we're not gonna buy you none of these games, but they put me in the corner where there was like a corner of like programming books, and like how to make your own game. And they're like you could, like, anything you want from that aisle, like, we'll buy for you, but no games,
That is hilarious. Yo, what up, y'all? I wanted to tell you guys about BlueChew.com. If you like sex, you'll love BlueChew.com. Blue Chew offers men a performance enhancement for the bedroom, and wouldn't you like to last longer and go extra rounds, Mike Gao?
I would. That would be fantastic.
And BlueChew.com affiliated physicians work with you to find a dosage and active ingredients that is best for you. How much dosage would you think you need?
I need the maximum dosage.
Chewables can work faster than pills, up to twice as fast. Did you know that, Mike Gao?
I need it twice as fast.
And no in-person doctor visit, no awkward conversations, because I know these things can get awkward. Maybe not for you, because you are a confident man. And no waiting in line at a pharmacy. It ships directly to your door in discreet packaging.
Oh, wow.
And here's a great deal for you guys right now. If you visit BlueChew.com and get your first order free, you'll get your first order free when you use my promo code DUMB, D-U-M-B. You just got to pay the $5 shipping. That's B-L-U-E, chew.com with the promo code DUMB. One more time, this is a limited time offer. Go visit BlueChew.com and you'll get your first order free when you use promo code DUMB and just pay $5 shipping. That's B-L-U-E, chew, C-H-E-W.com. Promo code DUMB, D-U-M-B. Don't be dumb and go to BlueChew.com right now. Right, Mike Gao?
Yeah. Oh, where do you put the promo code in?
Right there.
Oh, okay.
D-U-M-B. BlueChew.com. Peace. Dude.
Yeah.
So what is like the first game that you programmed?
I would just kind of like reskin, and also kind of like, well, not just reskin. I would code little logic to do, like, for example, I was really into RPGs, but then I had like some code base for like one of these Space Invaders, like airplane ass games, and then I basically just created, like, made it so you could level up in the game and get like crazier weapons and all that, and then I used to put it on a little floppy disk and go to school, because I'm a little bit older,
Yeah, I remember I have floppy disk too, so I mean, I'm around your age, so I know the floppy disk life. Wait, was this all in China or what?
Nah, this was when I first, so I was born in China, I moved to Japan, and then this was right when I moved from Japan to America. And then not right when I moved to America.
Oh yeah, you lived in Japan for a while.
Yeah. Maybe not right when I moved here, but maybe like 5 years after, when I got into my 11, 12-year-old kind of age. And then I used to just put them on discs, and I used to sell them to people for $5 at the school. I'd be like, yo, you want to get my game?
The A drive.
Yeah, the A drive.
Yeah. Now I remember, I mean, one cool thing that I've seen you do over the years is like kind of fuse your love for music with technology, and like you programming like musical apps. And I know one big app that I don't know how many apps you've actually designed, but one that I was familiar with and you're constantly boasting about is Poly Playground. And what is Poly Playground? Let's show people what this exactly is. So
yeah, so
that's on your iPad right now, right?
Yeah, this is on my iPad right now. It's in the iPad store. It's like $13, but hit me up. I'll give you like a free code if you're poor,
$13. If you guys are really serious about maybe purchasing this app, for any producers out there, comment below and we'll give one lucky winner.
Yeah, we'll give
free code.
We'll give three lucky winners.
Okay, we'll give 3 lucky winners the code to download this app for free. So explain what this app is.
So in my PhD, I came up with this theory. My papers were actually cited in Ableton's patent for the push, but they're not really doing it right, like your boy, because they're not using colors the way that I'm using it.
Right.
So a lot of people like Ableton push, and other people, they try to make instant gratification and and they pick that over power, whereas mine is all about like power. And there's some instant gratification modes in it, but it basically puts music in this symmetrical grid. Okay, so this is what a guitar would look like. You guys could probably see like the colors. Just take a look at the colors.
Yeah.
There's no symmetry in it, right?
For the listeners, you're going to have to go on youtube.com/funwithdumb and then you'll see the video.
Yeah, go on YouTube and
and
check out the colors. There's no symmetry in this. This is a guitar. But when you put it in my method, this minor third by major third method, or Jerry Balzano's method, who was my professor, it becomes completely symmetrical. And then to me, this is the mathematically perfect way to look at music, and it immediately starts to make musical relationships very apparent. And by using colors, you know what key you're in, because when you get like 7 colors in a row, like in a rainbow or something, when you get 7 colors in a row.
Put the mic close to it. Let's see.
Yeah.
What you.
Like, I'll do a little freestyle real quick.
All right.
And then you guys can see the colors up there maybe a little bit too, like.
Right.
Okay, so basically when I change keys, the colors change as well. So you know what key you're in by just the color region. And a lot of these apps, they like limit you to one key, but to me, like, it's dead ass easy to just be on a piano and like pick one key, you feel me? But then it's hard to play in every key like jazzy and be able to like move around any way you want and always understand where you are.
Right.
And it's also really fun to like watch piano players through the system, because a lot of times, like, my keyboard player homies, they don't know what they're playing. They're just accidentally coming up with shit. But in this system, it makes it super easy to understand and like process what's happening theoretically. So
how long have you had this developed? I remember it's been a while now.
It's been a while. It's since 2009. Damn, it's been almost
10 years.
10. Damn, it's been
the
10 years.
10-year anniversary of your app.
No, maybe 2011.
Okay,
so maybe
okay.
8. Yeah, maybe on a 10.
Was it like when the iPad first hit the?
Yeah, literally the first week that the iPad came out in 2011, I had my app already.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's specifically for the iPad. You can't use it on the iPhone.
Yeah, the iPhone, a lot of people ask me, but it's too small on
Right.
the iPhone. I have another app on the iPhone where you beatbox into the phone and recognizes it, makes it into a MIDI file. Then you can
That
send
was
it
cool. I always thought that was cool too. What app is that? What's that called?
It's called Vocal Beater. I did that in like 2009 before Ableton, before everybody else.
Every time you beatbox into it, you can turn your snare sound, your clap sound, all that stuff into a MIDI file, right?
Yeah, into a MIDI file. And then you can and it's velocity sensitive, so you could, because back in the day, you remember when we were in the scene in LA, it was like that Dilla scene.
Yeah.
And then everybody was always about that and
Swing,
all that swing shit, where like every beat battle was like how good you could swing. So then so I was like, yo, if I could just transcribe my beatbox, and I don't need to tap anything, and I could just have the perfect swing, you know.
Yeah. What I mean, besides like music apps, like what if you could design an app right now, what would it be?
It would be.
I know music is kind of your specialty, but have you thought about like what kind of app you would develop if it wasn't music related?
I would make an app that would bring me some money. And
yeah, the music
maybe
apps,
a dating app. I'm gonna make a dating
app, but you got to specify what kind of
it's gonna be a dating app for nerds.
Your filters. Oh, that.
You know,
is there a dating app for? There has to be a dating app.
I don't
for
think
nerds.
there is. And then you're gonna have to test each other on like what programming languages you know.
Right.
And actually, that's a terrible idea.
I'm almost positive there is a dating app for nerds. There's no way there isn't, bro.
I'm gonna have to.
Nerds
hop on
are
that.
out there looking for love, and then it's so easy because you can specify your knowledge of nerdy things.
That's facts.
Yeah. That's tight, bro. I mean, I've always been a fan of this app, and I've known about it for the last 10 years and still don't know how to use it whatsoever. I mean, how's the app done? I mean, it's been around for a while, and you've updated it so many times.
Yeah,
too.
I keep it updated. I keep adding new shit to it, but it's really steady. You know, like it does similar to like one of my records if my record just stayed consistent all the time. You know.
Yeah.
And yeah. No, actually, it does a lot better than a record I'd put out probably. You know, especially over a 10-year timeline.
You're definitely one of the OG like Chinese creatives that I've known in the West Coast for a long time, and like I mean in the last couple of years I feel like the China scene has changed crazy. Like you've done stuff as like a Vice China correspondent and shit, right?
Yeah, I did like two little content pieces for Vice, out in China where I was like a host, you know.
And you've always filled me in on like what's happening in China as far as the subcultures. Like where do you see it right now? I feel like they're kind of having a moment, right? Is that
I think they're having a moment. They're having like an explosion out there, you know. It's like a renaissance, but I think people are also really confused. They don't really know what's, you know, like I feel like there's so many subcultures, and you know, there's so many opinions, and people are so market driven also because the market is so big. There's 6 times as many people there as America, and like there's so much more money out there.
Yeah, how does that work? Because you have like certain provinces that have their own scene. Like Chengdu is different from where Shanghai or whatnot, right? Like the scene or dialects or whatnot. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, the dialects are different. There's so many subcultures where like it's starting to feel like Japan back in the day,
right?
Where like every single subculture had some kind of representation that was like, but you remember like back in the day we used to be able to go to Japan and like go to a small city and they used to have like a fake Project Blowed, and then like a Good Life cafe in the middle of in the forest, like in northern
like
Japan.
You could be a super underground rapper from Los Angeles and you're only known in this one open mic. Like I used to go to an open mic and they had their own scene, like ecosystem within that area and that open mic. And that exact same thing from like a 1 block radius was emulated in Japan.
Exactly.
Fools were rapping like certain cats at the open mic, right?
Yeah. Because the open mic is Project Blow, right? And like Good Life Cafe.
Yeah.
And then so they called it the same thing in Japan. They called it the Good Life Cafe. And then there was like a record store where you could find all these underground CDs.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? But I feel like China it's kind of like that right now, where like there's all these little, like a little psytrance event or like these little events, and then the people are super engulfed in it, and they feel like that's the most important music to them, you know.
I feel like they're like kind of next after, you know, like Japan was having its scene and then it kind of went to Korea with all the pop culture stuff, and I feel like China's kind of like next out of those, you know what I mean? It's gone from each thing to each thing.
I definitely think so, and I think one other reason for it is like the firewall makes it so there's so much content and so much shit that's undiscovered to like the Western audience, you know. So you know, whoever can bring that out of there, I think it can be compelling, because there might be, you know, it's kind of like the Galapagos Islands or some shit where like people have been evolving and like away from everybody else, kind of, because the internet is so blocked,
right?
You know what I mean?
It's kind of cool to see like even like they have this firewall, and you know you can't just access the internet like that, so you have to have a real hunger and thirst for it.
Yeah,
You
you
know
know
what
what I mean? It's like the people who really are about this shit, about this music. They, you know, yeah, they'll download a VPN and it'll be a little bit slower,
I mean? Right.
but they'll go on SoundCloud and stuff like that.
Majority of like porn sites in Korea are blocked.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
Yeah, like I've tried to access them while I was out there, just we can't get through.
Oh, wow.
But for some reason, certain ones are you can actually get through. Like they don't know about it. Yeah, but I mean, so I met you in Los Angeles, but you were living in like Chicago too, and like we've toured together. I think we're on like a flyer or something together.
Yeah, you know, we used to be in the underground hip hop scene, all these scenes, you know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the scene has changed now. It's all internet, and I feel like you, out of anybody, has adapted going into the internet more than most. You've gone deeper into the internet than anybody else has.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, I'm always trying to be on the new shit. To me, the newest shit is like this Instagram face filter.
Oh yeah. You've been killing it on the Instagram face filters.
Yo, check out my face filters. I've been killing them.
So this dude, I mean, y'all seen all the internet. I mean, the Instagram face filter stuff. But now you can there's like user generated face filters on Instagram, and you made one recently where it was like SoundCloud face tattoo rapper.
Yeah,
it
was like 21 Savage with the Gucci Mane tattoo. And the funniest thing to do with that one is like going to restaurants and then just point it at random people, and then it looks like they got the tattoo.
Old Asian ladies or whatnot. This is accessible right now.
Yeah, you could just go on to my.
It's free.
It's free. You just have to have the newest Instagram. A lot of my homies can't find my face filters because they don't update Instagram. But as long as you update Instagram, you just go to my page and there's like a little face. You click on that. You could just use all my filters for free.
How many filters have you made so far?
I think I have like 6. I got a bunch of weird shit. I'm trying to come up with something cute for the ladies, you know? Maybe I just made a butterfly one for the ladies.
You think that's what the ladies like, butterflies. Bro? That sounds like an outdated, mentality.
My gangster tat one, or like my rapper tat one, it makes your eyes a little bit bigger and it makes your face a little bit slimmer and it beautifies. So it's like an Asian beauty app mixed with rapper tattoos. So
I actually asked you to make me one using the mural that I have on in K-Town.
Yeah.
So he actually made one. I actually decided very last minute not to put it out, and he was all mad. He was like, "Yo, what the fuck? I've been working on this shit for 48 hours."
No, we should put out a little. I mean, not put out the filter, but
yeah.
But for the podcast, I could even put out like a little example for you guys because it does look kind of funny because instead of being the whole wall, it's only your face from the wall.
Right.
So then it kind of looks a little bit funny. I think the way I should have done it was just keep the wall as is, and then only the mouth is their mouth.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know.
I was going back, I just thought about this because we were talking earlier about like how you help people get some numbers or, find kind of loopholes in all of it. Because a lot of times, of course, it's like you got to have fire content, but these companies are using different methods of getting more views. I know you've worked with some companies. Like, how much of the percentage would you say like a lot of artists do kind of use these methods or the labels?
I think a lot, and I think people use it even when they don't necessarily need it.
Like buying views type of shit? Or
yeah,
what?
but buying views, but you have to be careful now because a lot of these machine learning algorithms, they'll know if the ratio is off. Like if you buy low quality views and then because think about it, when you're watching YouTube, a lot of people they're signed into their Gmail.
Yeah.
So a huge percentage of people are signed into legitimate Gmail accounts while they're watching, or Google accounts while they're watching YouTube. So if these ratios don't look right, then it starts to hurt your ranking and all these things, And then, I mean, pretty much.
But they even generate like now people even generate, besides the views, the equal amount of comments that go with the views, right?
That's exactly what I'm about, and like
that's what you can do that.
Like I could definitely do
How
that.
would you have? Do you have to do that like one by one?
No, I have an algorithm that I code where it'll generate comments for you, where I basically do like fire emoji. It's really simple. It's called spin taxing. It's the simplest algorithm. You just use these brackets and then
struggle rappers are salivating right now as they're tearing out for these services.
Yeah, hit me up. You just need the flame emojis and like various different things, and then I click generate, and it'll generate thousands and thousands of
combinations
of what you want, and then We just throw them on there.
Like fire track, and then next comment will be the track is fire.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's usually 0.05% of the views, or 0.5% of the views is the comments, and then I think 4% of the views is like, I have it memorized because, you know, and there's the likes. I don't really do it to my own shit because, you know, I'm not like a rapper where it really like, I don't know. You know what I mean? It'll just look weird because they're like, this is some experimental shit.
How useful would you say that is for an artist though? Like realistically,
super important because everybody these days is on some perception shit. You know, as soon as they see the numbers are different, you know, then everybody starts to treat it differently and starts to see it as a business opportunity, or they want to hop on the bandwagon before the train takes off. You know, they want to get something in on it, you know.
That's crazy.
I definitely think it's all about perception, and people are just sheep, you know what I mean? And yeah, there's been all kind of tactics that people have been using on Twitter, on Instagram. Like when I started learning about this, it was like someone pulling back the curtain, and all these things like I thought were cool and like clout, you know, and oriented. I just realized a lot of it.
That's crazy. So you just found out like, damn, actually there's a lot more that goes into this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. You know, there's so much, and I think as humans we're gonna try our best to exploit everything we can until we're caught and until we're stopped from doing that. You know,
right.
and for me it's like I definitely keep it careful on my own. Like I don't do too much on my own stuff just because I'm pretty sure that in the long course of time people will, with machine learning algorithms, they will be able to detect any kind of fuckery.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have been offsetting that by, instead of doing that, you know, using fan pages, for example, and then like blowing up fan pages, and then, you know, in a sus way, where if they get punished, it's like they're like the burner accounts, and then taking those accounts and diverting traffic to your main.
Right.
You know, people were doing that for a while. I mean, I'm sure all you kids out there who are listening, I'm sure you guys see all this shit and already kind of like had a feeling about it too, you know? Yeah.
Nah, they're all like, no, we didn't know. And they're all shocked. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, one thing that you always kind of inform me on a lot of the things that's kind of happening or it's about to go into. And one thing I remember you're talking about is like the whole thing with computers generating algorithms to make their own songs.
Oh, yeah.
So robots like making their own beats, essentially, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot
and then
of people...
we like saw an article, or I shared an article with you where like Warner Brothers or something signed their first artificial intelligent like algorithm to make beats.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's happening, you know, and
because I mean that's not really far fetched, because you can program something to generate random patterns to make a beat.
Yeah, definitely. You could do that, and then have some counterpoint rules, and then in the future, the way I would do it is like, because music is constantly changing, I think it's not necessarily about generating, it's about listening, right? So if you could write a good algorithm that could listen to music and can kind of break, because like even trap music, it just keeps the drum patterns and these things keep changing. So then I'd want to write an algorithm that's constantly studying the new shit, studying the new patterns, and then being able to regenerate it using that.
Yeah.
I have something I did for a homework assignment that's like doing that with lyrics. You remember I was showing you? It kind of like the lyrics end up not making any sense, but then it's kind of interesting because I had my intern take all of Kanye's lyrics, maybe like 30. No, not all his lyrics, maybe 30 to 50 songs, somewhere around there, and then I press generate, and then it'll create like just unlimited bars with it. You know?
Yeah. So wait, what was it doing? It took Kanye's bars and then what?
It's really simple. It's you know, for all the real nerds out there, it's actually not, you know, super high tech. It's just a simple Markov model, but essentially it just looks at the probability of what words and what text happens after another one, and then it uses that to generate
using his kind of regular patterns
patterns, or like if. But it kind of fucks it up, because if you repeat a hook many times, then when it hits a word in the hook, then because the probability of it hitting, you know, going to the next words is high, it ends up kind of like repeating people's hooks a little bit more, you know?
Yeah.
But it's kind of useful if you have like writer's block and you don't know what to do, or if you think that there's like a beauty in the poeticness of the machine. Sometimes I think it's beautiful because it's like just the concept of it, like no human came up with it, you know what I mean? And then they'll say some weird ass shit that like people wouldn't have thought of, you know?
You think robots will get signed in the future?
Yeah, definitely. I think according to this guy Jack Otterly, Noise the Political Economy of Music. I remember I used to tell you about that. He said that like technology in the future would make it so everybody can make their own music, and the music ceases to have exchange value and becomes a form of autonomous self-pleasure. That's what he said, you know?
Wow.
And then I always believed in that. That's why I always like coded this I didn't want to become obsolete, you know?
So you think the programmer or the coder will essentially be the manager or the label?
Yeah, essentially. But then there's definitely human aspects that we're very drawn to and that really sell the music, you know? And I think what will end up happening is like the human will just be the face of the music, but the beats and the lyrics and the song will be algorithmically generated because they'll have an algorithm that can maximize the amount of click-throughs from ads or something, you know, or like they'll be able to maximize like against something like profits or something, you know what I mean?
Right. You just put out an album.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that before the robots take over.
Yeah, it's called Human Recursion.
Yeah.
And it's it's a bunch of experimental shit.
Super tight. All the beats are dope. I mean, I've been a big fan for a minute. Here's a little fun fact. He actually produced a song on my first album way back in the day. That's not even on Spotify or Apple Music anymore. But it was called She Don't Care. Right?
Yeah, I didn't even know how to produce back then. I didn't have my app. I didn't know what
he
I
was super
doing.
not proud of that beat. 'Cause remember you said that you didn't even know you sent that one in particular?
I think it was a sample, and then I put some drums to it. You know, like most producers start out, I was like sampling most of my shit. But it was a good song. The songwriting was really good, you know, so.
Yeah, I mean, I was learning how to do shit too at the time. I didn't, you know, but it was like our first collaboration. Yeah, it was an accident.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah, I think we went on our first tour together too.
Yeah.
No, wait, no.
Maybe not, but maybe.
Wasn't that the Gas Money Millionaires tour? By the way, that was the name of the first tour I was ever on. It was called Gas Money Millionaires, which I thought was fire at the time for sure.
I think I might have done a couple of shows with the rappers, you know, maybe on that tour.
Yeah.
But those were the days back then.
Are you using like a lot of the face filters that you're working on as like I know you're like kind of cross promoting your music like that?
Yeah, I'm actually trying to come with a face filter for almost every track on my project.
Oh, that's cool. And is it like according to the style of the song or what it's kind of about?
Yeah, exactly. It's to the style of the song, and then I'll also drop like a 3D audio reactive visual. I've been making a lot of 3D shit in a game engine, so then you don't have to render it. Like basically, I'm gonna drop a video later on today that it took me like, I mean, as far as the level and the 3D shit was already made, but for me to just like render it, it's like me playing the game and just shooting the screen, you know? So I can make these visuals in real time, like without having to render for like a week or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we've also were roommates together, by the way. This guy and me, and actually the Free Nationals from Anderson .Paak's band. And that was a pretty wild time in that house.
That was the best.
We've had some stories. Oh, there's a video of me kimchi slapping this guy.
Oh, yeah, check that out.
With a whole spicy cabbage, like just I don't know what you call a whole thing that's not cut up yet, but it's a slab of cabbage that I slapped this fool with. It was a kimchi slap. I saw it on the internet. Somebody did it to another person.
We saw it in like a Korean
drama kind of thing.
Drama, yeah. And then he convinced me, but you know.
You can see it on my vlogs. I used to vlog a lot back then. It was cool. I mean, our house was dope because we had a lot of like artists come through all the time. We had like Hippie Sabotage, Doja Cat, Tarani, Omari, like a bunch of Free Nationals were there, obviously. Like a lot of really dope LA musicians. Huey Briss. We'd freestyle there, smoke mad blunts, party, girls. It was lit.
It was lit. That's definitely, I swear to God, that's the best time of my life. Like that short period of time, that was the funnest time I've ever had, you know?
Yeah. No, it was fun. We had a studio there. Anderson obviously was recording a bunch of shit there. But it was an EOM, rest in peace, was living in there too.
Yeah, rest in peace.
And man, it was a really good time. It was kind of wild too, though.
It was wild. It was crazy. Like I almost felt like you know, people like girls would get a bad reputation just for coming through to the house damn near, you know.
Nah, there was no reputation. It was just a turn up fucking central there. It just people like because all of us were everybody's a musician in the house, so that was kind of the annoying part. No, you don't really get time like alone because everyone's working at the house all day. You know what I mean? Like if like your roommate had a 9 to 5 job, then they'd be gone
They'd
for
be
the
gone.
day. And you'd be cool, you know, like that's why it's cool to be like the only, if you have roommates and you're the only musician sometimes because you have some alone time to work on your shit, you know. But man, that's like all 6 musicians always at the crib all the time with different room with bass bumping.
Yeah, people upstairs with the piano, and
Yeah,
it was cool. It was fun though.
yeah. Well, I mean, you're like one of the friends that I feel like kind of know so much information and shit, but you have this other side that's like huge stoner and like when we're driving, I'm like make a left here, you make a right, you know.
Yeah, I think my dad's like that too, you know, like he's really smart in his field, but everything else he's like retarded, and I think I'm the same way, you know.
What do your parents do?
My dad was like a professor, but he does like he's an engineer. And then, you know, my mom was into like international, she was into like economics. She used to be an economics professor back in the day.
That's crazy. My homegirl, you know, our homegirl KO, her parents are both like scientists too.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, a lot of like engineering scientist families. Yeah.
Yeah,
I always
you
wondered
know.
how that's like growing up with like teacher kind of parents. Like, are they usually like pretty busy?
They were busy, but I remember they used to try to teach me all kinds of shit. Or they used to like, after I got back from school, all the other kids got to go play, but then my mom would sit down and like make me do math with her or something.
Oh, so there was actually like a lot of homeschooling elements.
Yeah, I remember, especially like math, they were homeschooling me a lot back in the day.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what was your like exposure to music and everything? Cause like, I mean, you also have a good eclectic like fashion sense and all that. Like, where would you say a lot of that influence came from? Was it Japan? Would you say? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've always been fond of Japan because, you know, when I moved from there, it was like moving from the most like exciting metropolitan, all these lights and fire toys,
Yeah.
to like Illinois somewhere where I was like, yo, there's no toys that are good, you know? And then, but
Oh,
then,
Japan had fire toys when you were a kid?
yeah.
Okay.
And then I used to work for Native Instruments, which is a music technology company in Germany, in Berlin. So I used to do research for them, and I lived in Berlin for like 2 summers. And then I got to see how different that scene is, and
Right.
you know what I mean? But then I'd say maybe like the LA beat scene, some of my experiences abroad.
LA was actually very experimental.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I mean, into production and even like the rap crew that I come from, and like which I consider like the open mic I come from, which was like my rap school. I would say like all the MCs I would like encounter there were so experimental. Yeah, I don't know if that's because it was just jazz influenced or what, but people were out there.
Yeah, everybody was about, you know, trying to push the boundaries, and they felt like by standing out and by being different was the way to succeed. Like, you know, they felt like being different is how you succeed. Whereas I feel like the problem with a lot of music now is like people, they feel like, you know, whoever can imitate the best and be the most the same, you're rewarded for that more, you know.
That's true. I would say, you know, it's funny because obviously music and art, it's like being different is always like the cool thing, but you don't really get rewarded for it anymore.
Yeah.
You know, before I feel like you would get rewarded. It was like cool to be different.
My theory is that like now with more and more people making music, so many people making music now, it's like by being the same as everyone, it's almost like authenticity, and that sense of authenticity is what makes music appeal to people. Or like, I don't know, there's like a, you know what I mean, where like if someone's too original, it almost makes them feel like they're like they don't know what they're doing because they're you know what I mean.
So you're saying they don't sound authentic to the culture because people are too unfamiliar with it? Is that what it is?
Or something. You know, like, yeah, something along those lines. Like, I feel like today's music, especially in hip hop, is driven around, you know, authenticity and an artificial hierarchy that's built.
As a producer, what do you think is kind of like the next wave of, you know, the style of beats, you know, that cats are gonna want to like rap on and shit?
Oh, that people are gonna want to rap on. I think beats are just getting simpler and simpler.
And you think it's just gonna keep going that route or what? I mean, not even simplicity, I would say, but like, you know, whether it's like BPM or the style or what, you know, like boom bap trap. You know, obviously trap is kind of like it's been going out, you know, on its way out for a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting topic, you know, because even in like 2011, I remember amongst like certain European producer homies and some of my homies, they're like, trap is dead, you know. But then what I've learned is that trap never dies; it just changes. And if you really look at the drum
it's like
patterns,
EDM. People was saying that about EDM and shit.
yeah, you know. And but I feel like I can distinctively hear differences in the drum pattern, and that like, and to be honest, if you listen to house music or one of these other types of genres, and you just look at the drum pattern, it stays pretty much the same. And then people might say trap's played out, but if you listen to every single trap song and you really analyze the rhythm and the drum patterns, it's really different on each one.
Yeah.
So it's like the only thing that is grouping them together is I guess like the aesthetic and the you know, this sense of a genre, but the actual information in the track, like where the drums are placed, I think it's constantly evolving and staying fresh, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, have you been working with any vocalists these days or what?
Yeah,
I always found the artists you work with very interesting too, because you've worked from cats like Alex Wiley to Mikey Rocks, right?
yeah,
Michael
or
Rocks.
like this guy named Rex Life Raj. I've been doing a lot of shit with.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, that's a Bay Area cat too.
I end up just, you know what, there's a lot of these guys who are like placement producers, so they go out and they send out beats and they're constantly like, I end up just working with whoever hits me up, you know what I mean? Like whoever ends up bothering me the most and making it the most, giving me the most win-win situation.
You want that Mike Gao beat, you know, that Mike Gao heat, just holler at him.
Just holler at me.
That's all it takes, really.
Just holler at me.
Some people
make it
like,
a win for me, you know?
Some people make it, they think it's a lot more difficult, right? And I'm not saying it's easy, but for your experience, say like just a random rapper hit you up. How easy is it for them to work with you?
I think it's easy, especially if they make it like a win for me, you know?
So they'd have to probably send you a track and you'd listen to it.
Yeah, and it's dope, and
that's all it is. Like if you like the track,
they break me off with some bread,
right.
Or if let's say they get like mad Spotify listeners, and then they're like, yo, I'll give you like a cut on, you know, I'll give you a certain percentage on a master, and then
so you would still do it for something like that, like a particular deal like that, like on the back end.
Yeah, definitely, because honestly, on the back end right now, I make more money off just a couple of my rapper homies and those songs, just because those songs do so much bigger numbers and reach like more people, or it'll get put on like NBA 2K or something. I end up getting more bread off that than my own, which is I guess that's most producers.
Right.
That's like every placement producer out there makes more money off of their placements than their own music. But I still want to put out my own music too, though. You know what I mean? I still think it's really important to do that. And what's really interesting with like hip hop and like house music or other types of electronic music is in hip hop, like the producer honestly gets kind of shitted on because like the producer does mad work, but then it all goes to the artist really. But if you look at house music, if you look at you know, some of these dudes like Duke Demond, who's trying to get me to ghost produce for him and all this shit, like he'll do a whole song where it's like, you know, probably somebody else produced that shit for him and he has a different vocalist, but you know what I mean, but the vocalist isn't even credited. And then you know what I mean, where the fucking producer is the king, and maybe that's the type of music I need to be making. But sometimes, you know, I end up just making what I genuinely like.
Right.
And sometimes what I genuinely like is this type of music where, you know, the producer does get a little bit shitted on.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough for a long time, I feel, for the producer to collect. You know what I'm saying? And like y'all had to fight for that shit. You know what I mean? And
for sure.
I mean, I think it's in a lot better place now. And the respect, you know, and the compensation is still there, right? Would you say it's still unfair or not much? It's still it's gone to a place where it's good, right?
I think it's way better now, you know what I mean? Especially as more and more of these like distribution platforms, they come up with ways where online you can do the split online. You know what I mean? Or like DistroKid or places like STEM, or you can just split the song. And then so things are getting a lot more fair. And then honestly, when streaming came and like all the streaming money came, I remember there was like a point where we were all looking at record sales, like CD sales.
Yeah.
And I remember that shit died down. And then there was a point where like the royalties and like the money from music was at a low point.
Yeah.
And then streaming came along.
Right.
And then you saw your monthly checks come back kind of and be way better. And I think in this world, yeah, I think it's mutually symbiotic. Like producers need rappers, and rappers need, or like vocalists and vocalists need producers, and then together they can make more streaming money and get playlisted.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because the streaming money isn't crazy either. I mean, it could be though. It could be depending on certain songs. Like, I guess the more shit you make, you know, you're opening up the more chance of it getting like a lot more listens. You know what I'm saying? And throwing it up there. But to be honest, I feel like it still shows. You know, for me personally. But yeah, man. Mike Gao, let's talk. Let's promote your album. My bad, I fucking blanked out right there.
No, it's all good.
As I was talking about some shit. Is there anything you want to promote before we?
I think we promoted everything. Just my app, Poly Playground. Check out my face filters, and then check out my new album, Human Recursion.
Are you planning to do some visual? I mean, you're such a visual dude, I feel like, and you've never put out a music video.
Yeah, I guess I have little things. I've been doing these mini music videos. Like, I'll put another one up on my Instagram. I just create these 3D worlds, and then I think of a really novel way to have it move to the music.
Right.
And then they're super compelling for like 30 seconds, or like as one scene in the music video. But I feel like if I wanted to do a music video, I'd want to like go in and make it super interesting the whole time. So I consider them more like music visualizers, you know, like the new Lil Nas X song after Old Town Road. He didn't really drop a full-on music video. It was like a looping 3D thing. Like, hit me up for those. I'm trying to make those, you know, because they don't take as much effort to make than a full video.
This guy produces and also, so I mean, he's like a full all-time, like all-around stop for a vocalist or a rapper if you think about it, because you provide beats, you can make the visualizer.
Sure.
And
I could pump the views for you afterwards.
And he could pump the views for you on YouTube to get you popping. So he's a one-stop shop.
One-stop shop.
And he won't bug you with ads under Instagram pictures like, yo, $300 for a graphic image. You know, well, that's like a huge hustle on Instagram. I noticed a lot of artists selling cover art.
Oh wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, no, it's like that's like a huge hustle. I always see kids like, yo, hit me up for the cover art. People, there's a market for cover art, bro. Oh shit,
maybe I got to do that.
Yeah, I mean, the moving cover art, bro.
Yeah, I think that like I have a homie who does that type of shit. He'll do like you know, for like Apple Music, or I think there's a new lane, because every single record that drops, every new Drake record, whatever that drops, they need that like 10-second moving image that represents the song. Right.
Like the thumbnail or cover art, but it's moving, right?
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And it's always fun, you know. It's always fun to like tie music and visuals together, because oftentimes like one of my boys might drop an album, even you know, might drop something, and then I'll listen to it and I'll be like, yo, this is cool. And then, but I might like have a little bit of it burn into my memory. And then a week or 2 weeks later, I see the video for it and the visual for it, and it's like, whoa, you know. There's been mad times where this has happened, where you know, once it's been recontextualized with a visual, it just makes the music so much more compelling, you know.
Do you have like, do you have any ambition and work in the music industry with so much of your knowledge? Because I feel like you've dropped a lot of gems for anybody kind of wanting to know the ins and outs, you know, far as analytics and stuff.
Yeah, and I can code, I can do everything, you know. Somebody need to hire your boy, yo. 'Cause, like, I swear to God, there's nobody in the game that is better to hire.
I mean, because
you
do know like the music side, and you know the other side, which is like numbers, and everything in life is fucking numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I mean, patterns and all this shit. So you do kind of know that, yeah.
And I'll produce circles.
You're like the Oracle,
the whole
bro.
Roster, you know.
You're the fucking Oracle, bro, of the music matrix.
Somebody need to give me a retainer.
Yeah, put him on retainer. Yo,
put me on retainer. I'll do anything.
Yo, Mike Gao, the night owl. Don't throw in the white towel. Lights out.
I'm driving down to 5 South right now.
Right now, playing Pai Gao. I hope your career never dies down.
Oh, I never heard that one.
Thank you for coming to my hideout.
Oh wow.
And I hope you never get blackballed or white out.
Let's go get some Chinese food and eat some fried chow. that was a stretch.
All right. Don't wild out. Stay safe. Mike Gao, bow down. Thank you for coming on Fun with Dumb, bro. Appreciate it. Tune in next week for another episode of Fun with Dumb. Yee.